What is going on, everybody? The Original Mako back with our first, I guess, recap video of the year. There's going to be, well, that's not kind of the right way to describe it. Anyway, there's going to be like 4 of these. We're going to have a top 5 anime that I watched this year. We're going to have a top 5 video games that I played this year. Top 5 anime I'm anticipating for next year, and top 5 video games I'm anticipating for next year. We're starting off with this one because I know it's only December 13th, but this list isn't changing of the animes that I've watched and finished this year because I'm currently watching Black Clover. That will not be done within the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. That won't be done until January or February next year. So, that being said, we're going to go through this list, and I'm going to talk about the top 5. And once again, these are not ones that came out this year, ones that I watched all the way through this year. So those are the ones we're going to be talking about here. And I'm going to talk about each one individually a little bit and then get into the top 5. So for those of you, I started off my year with finishing Hunter x Hunter, and I could go on a rant about it. I'm not going to. If you haven't seen the Shark Scale on this video or on this anime, just go watch it. Not going to get into details. It had the potential to be one of a top 5, dare I say top 3 anime on my list of all time. And instead it's in like the 20s because the Chimera Ant arc was awful. A lot of people feel differently. That's fine. That's totally fine. I hated it. So, yeah, I everything except the Chimera Ant arc I thought was great. I thought the York New City arc, a masterpiece. Chimera Ant arc, terrible. Next up. Why is this audio? Whatever. Dr. Stone. I watched this pretty early in the year, and I tell you, I fucking loved it. I loved everything about this. This is one of the only shows where like every single side character, well, not every single, but most of the side characters get a lot of screen time. They're very important to the story. It all makes sense. It was really good. The comedic timing was on point for me. They didn't try to do it too much, and they fit it in when it made a lot of sense. There were pretty cool fight scenes. Like, it was overall just fantastic, and I loved watching Dr. Stone this year. Kill la Kill. This was an interesting one. The premise of the story being the less clothes you were wearing, the stronger you are, made it fun to watch, if that's the correct word. But in all honesty, the story ended up being a lot better than I thought, and the fight scenes were actually really cool and intriguing, regardless of the fact that they were barely wearing any clothing. But it was actually a fun show to watch. I really enjoyed it. Slightly strange with the premise, but also very interesting. Next up, we have God Eater, which was an anime that's actually based off of a video game, and it was good. It was really good. The animation style was very unique. It's the only anime I've ever seen with that kind of animation style that it had. And the fights were cool. The story got me intrigued and interested. It just needed more. It needs a second season. I mean, they set it up for a second season. It needs a second season. So, it left something to be desired, but it was good. I kind of the animation style grew on me a little bit. I wasn't a big fan at first, but it kind of grew on me. So, God Eater was a good one as well. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood was a fun little adventure that we went on. This is one of my more hot takes. I think it is slightly overrated. I think it's a great show. Don't get me wrong. I think it was great. I really do, in all honesty. But a lot of people have this in like their top 2, top 3. It was good, but for me, it wasn't like top 2, top 3. But it was a great show, and I from start to finish, enjoyed the adventure we went on. A lot of the characters had really, really good like conclusions to their character arc, which was fun. So, yeah, it was a great show. Death Parade. This one came out of left field, and it followed a very, interesting kind of line, like storytelling line. where until it was a 12 episode anime, and until episode like 11 or 12, maybe even 12, I had no idea where this was going, how it was going to conclude, what we were leading to, what we were leading to. It was very reminiscent for me, that feeling of like Code Geass, because once you get to the end of Code Geass, there's like 4 or 5 episodes in a row where you're like, what, where are we going? What are we doing from here? And then all of a sudden it all just culminates. And that's what happened with Death Parade. And it kind of made me rethink my entire outlook on life as a whole. So it's actually a really good show. It actually has a really good message behind it as well. And it's confusing. You know, you're taking a lot of time to get to that conclusion and those lessons, but you do get there. And yeah, it's actually, I think, a very well done anime and a very insightful one for sure. Next up, we have Classroom of the Elite Season 2. So this is specifically Season 2 because I finished Season 1 a while ago, but Season 2 came out this year. I watched it. I loved it. I love Classroom of the Elite as a whole. I was so disappointed when I finished Season 1 that there wasn't a Season 2 and probably was never going to be one. So when they announced a Season 2 and a Season 3, I got bricked immediately, and it pulled through. It came through. Near the end, you finally get to see someone really fucking pop off, which was exciting and fun to watch, and I've been waiting for it ever since I got you get kind of teased with it in Season 1, and then in Season 2, it just, God. Anyway, Classroom of the Elite Season 2 was fantastic. Cyberpunk Edgerunners. Unreal. Unbelievable show. Great story, great soundtrack, great characters. I loved this. I was enthralled with Cyberpunk Edgerunners, so it was definitely a very, very... I was very happy that I ended up watching it because I was tempted. I was like, maybe I'll just wait for this one and I'll move on to one of my longer ones or whatever. But I was like, I'll just watch it. And it was absolutely worth it. Every second was worth it. I wish it was a little bit longer so they could have fleshed it out just a little more. But regardless, amazing. Vinland Saga. Vinland Saga was a very good one as well. I finished it, just in time for, I believe, Season 2's next year. I think they actually just dropped the trailer for it. And it was fun to watch this main character who's not really, he's kind of hard to figure out. I don't know if I'd call him the good guy. I don't think he's the good guy. I don't know if anybody's a good guy, though, if we're being honest, in the show, which makes it kind of fun and exciting because it just keeps you on your toes. On your toes, you never know what's going to happen. A lot of the side characters were really fun to follow and had great stories as well. So I loved the show overall, and I can't wait for Season 2 next year. And then Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress. Possibly one of the most underrated anime of all time because I have never even heard of this, and I don't hear people talk about it a lot. But my God, was it a great show. Great action, great pacing, great story, interesting setting, being on a train the whole time. It was just great. It was just top tier, and I had a lot of fun watching it this year. So it was a really, really good show and a fun show to watch. So those were all the ones that I watched this year. There were none that were bad, I would say. So it was a good year of shows. Next year, hopefully this list will be a little bit longer. It probably should be. I mean, we've got Black Clover. I'm going to be finishing Chainsaw Man by next year. I'm going to be... There's Dr. Stone Season 3. There's Classroom of the Elite Season 3. There's Vinland Saga Season 2. There's Attack on Titan Final Part, Final Season. There's Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. There's a lot of stuff that's actually coming out next year, not to mention the things I'll be watching on my own that have already come out. So anyway, let's start ranking them, and let's start at number 5. So number 5 for me is going to go to Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. That's going to take the number 5 spot. Once again, I think it is just a little bit overrated. It's a good show. It's a good show. I enjoyed it. I liked it. The fights were good. The characters were good. I did. I liked the adventure they went on. It was interesting. There were some twists, but it just didn't have that X factor for me, like learning about the main villain and stuff was cool, and it just didn't feel, it didn't like fulfill me fully when I was done watching it. I was fulfilled with Hohenheim as a character. I think his arc was great, and Greed as a character. Those two characters made me feel like, yes, this is how I wanted this to end. Everybody else it was just kind of, I guess maybe it was the motivation behind everything, like Ed and Al trying to get their bodies back. Maybe I just don't think that quite gripped me as much as a lot of people, but that was just my opinion on it. But it's still number 5 for this year. Next up, for number 4, we are going to go Classroom of the Elite Season 2. This was a tough one. 4 and 3, whenever I tell you what 3 is, could probably be, interchanged. I'm going to highlight these, make them stick out a little bit. But once again, Classroom of the Elite Season 2 was just phenomenal. I love Ayana Koji. I love that whole story. I'm so goddamn intrigued after how Season 2 ended of what's going to happen in Season 3. They brought in the whole, the thing that could throw everything off with his dad. It's just, I can't wait to see what happens with this show. So I'm very excited for Classroom of the Elite Season 3. Season 2 it lived up to what I wanted from a Season 2 from this show. And, if you haven't watched it, please watch Classroom of the Elite. It's just phenomenal. Number 3 on this list is going to go to Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress. I'm not kidding when I tell you this is one of the most underrated. Look, my background is still Kabaneri, Mume from Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress. I'm not kidding. It's one of the most underrated anime of all time. It has to be. Barely anybody talks about it or has heard of it, but the fight scenes are so good. It's paced well. The story is interesting. The characters are really cool. The final fight scene is just immaculate. Like, this show blew me away when I was watching it. It was one of those shows, there's not a lot that do this to me. Usually, like every night, I'll try to watch whatever anime I'm watching. And I'll say, okay, I'm going to watch 2 episodes, go to bed. I'm going to watch 3 episodes, then go to bed. Whatever it is. Whatever I have time for. This one was one of those ones where I'd watch 2 episodes and be like, okay, I'm going to watch another one before I go to bed. One that I wasn't planning on watching. This show did that to me, and not many have before. Naruto had stretches that did it to me. The Hunter x Hunter York New City arc did it to me more than any show ever. And Kabaneri of the Iron Fortress are the only ones I can think of that have like really enticed me to want to watch an extra show that I wasn't planning on watching. So it was great. I loved it. It's going in at number 3. Number 2, Dr. Stone. This anime just kind of fits. I don't know. I loved the premise of it. If you guys know me, you'll know that I really, really like smart main characters. Hence why I love Ayana Koji. And Senku is smart in he's not like strategic or cunning necessarily. He's just in general fucking smart, like scientist, math type of smart, which is a really fun, dynamic. I just loved it. I loved actually learning stuff from the show. I loved the whole. I'm a big science fan, so all the science that was going on was interesting. Him trying to get the entire world back to where it was before everything got turned to stone. All of the side characters being so important and so utilized in the show is just amazing. I can't wait for season 3. This is one of my favorites that I've watched, and I'm actually starting to get some of the manga for Dr. Stone and rereading through the story because it's just so good and I love it. So number 2 goes to Dr. Stone, and then number 1 on the list of anime that I have watched this year goes to Cyberpunk Edgerunners. When I watched this show, I wasn't expecting it to hit as hard as it did, but I mean, it was 10 episodes that were like 30 minutes each, I think. But the story was so interesting. The character development was great from all the characters. The fact that they got me so attached to a lot of the characters in such a short amount of time is super rare. The animation style was beautiful. The fight scenes were beautiful. Lucy is like up there with 02, not quite 02 level, okay? But she's up there. Like, I'd sell my scrotum to take Lucy to the moon, you know? Maybe not. But anyway, it was such a good experience, such a good story. It had a nice emotional ending, and it was everything I could ask for from a show. And it's definitely the best one that I watched this year. I think it's a notch above all these other ones. I think these other ones are kind of, like I said, these two could probably be flipped around. Dr. Stone could maybe even be grouped in there. But this is just on a level above the rest. I loved Cyberpunk Edgerunners, and if you watch the Shark Scale on it, you'll know that it was one of my favorites that I've seen in general. So Cyberpunk Edgerunners takes the #1 spot for this year. Like I said, we'll do a top 5 most anticipated for next year, and there's a fucking lot that are going to be coming out, which is I'm interested to see when I do my thought process how I kind of rank those. But regardless, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, like I said, we'll have a couple more of these kind of wrap up videos coming soon. I'm gonna sorry, still kind of sick. I'm gonna space them out a little bit, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you'll have a wonderful rest of your day. Let me know your thoughts, or maybe what your favorite anime that you watched this year were down in the comments below. But hopefully you have a wonderful rest of your day. I love each and every one of your faces, and I will catch you all in the next video.